Hey YouTube, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles, and today we're going to continue our business series. Now I'm sure some of you are out there saying, well, at least I saw one person who said it, kind of, why are we qualified to give business advice? Well, here's what I'll tell you, we're qualified to give business advice because we have a camera, and you clicked on it to watch. So there you go. We're probably not, I guess is what I'm saying, but I'm a guy with a lot of ideas. And some of them are going to be good, some of them are going to be bad. Some of them may help you, some of them you may think are total shit. And you know what? That is okay. You can use what you want and throw away what you don't like. This is not, and I want to repeat this, I don't think I've said this in the business series yet, what we do is not the only way to do it, okay? What we're telling you and where we're coming from is based on the Olympus Reptiles experience. And I guess before we continue on in the business series, I need to give you just a little bit of background so you understand where I'm coming from. We literally started this with nothing. Nothing but an idea and very little money out of pocket. There's no loans, there's no investors, there was no nothing at first, okay? And the only investor we have now is, obviously we had to get a loan for this house. That is it. And we've grown that business to what it is now, which are we the best? No. Are we the largest? No. Did we get a little help along the way? Fuck yeah, we did. We got really lucky with social media, man. I'll own that. I'll own that every day of the week. But we grew it from nothing, and we grew it in a span of what, Kurt? About 6 years?
Yeah.
About 6 years. As a matter of fact, I think we had our first successful clutch in, I want to say, 2015. And this is 2020. So even, 5 years since our first baby hatched. And it's grown quite a bit, and a lot of people obviously know who the hell we are. So I'm going to just say we must be doing something either A, really right, or B, really wrong if that many people have heard our name. So that's why we're giving you advice. Again, you don't have to take it. It may be shit, and if it is shit, I don't care, because that's kind of the mood that I find myself in today. But today we're going to talk about what morphs hold value. This should kind of help you decide, I think, your breeding plans in the future sometimes, especially from a business orientation. And also, where are you going to put your initial investment when you're getting things together? So let's go with old versus new. And what I mean by old versus new, first of all, is we'll take an old morph. Like, ooh, man, I don't have any babies left. Let's see what we got. I don't want to stir my females because there's a lot of snakes banging in here. Okay, I'll just be really honest. A lot of good stuff going on. Don't want to mess with that. And we got things that are like nest and delay. Yes, you are. So we're going to be a little careful with them, but I'm sure I can find something to make my point. Oh, this snake will do it for me. This snake will make my point all by itself. So what we have here is two genes going on. Excuse me, COVID. The first gene you're going to see is, if you look, is pastel. Now, pastel is a very, very old gene. It's one of the first identified incomplete dominant morphs that are out there. Spider, pin, kind of some of the first of the table. So it's been around a real, real long time. The snake carries another morph that is also fairly new and very hard to see, and that is scaleless head. You can see right there, that is a little pastel scaleless head. Now, when you're picking your investment, let's talk about this. If you were to go to a show today and you would pay, let's say, $90 for a baby female pastel, okay, just a pastel, that's what we're going to throw out there. That pastel, you're going to have babies, and you're not going to make a lot of money on it, okay? They're still going to be $75 to $90. Okay, that's what they are. They've gone down a little bit since I started. When I first started, you were probably talking 100 for a male, 125 for a female, and now it's like, 90 and 75, 175, somewhere in that neighborhood. Been holding very, very consistent for years. That snake is pretty much the bottom of its market. You can sell them at shows for that all day long. At least I can. If you can't, then we need to go back to the how to sell stuff video. Actually, we got that coming up soon. But that's kind of where it is. Now, the scaleless head. Scaleless head not too long ago, if you remember back in the day, Brian Barczyk got those full scaleless eggs, was so super excited, and all of a sudden the scaleless head was demanding, an offer of, or one of the scaleless got an offer of $125,000, I think, and the scaleless head were going for about $35,000 or $40,000 at the time. And now I can go online, I guarantee you, and find a scaleless head for under $500, probably under $400. if I look really hard, and you can start getting the combos for a pretty reasonable price. So what I'm telling you is sometimes going with the newest, latest, greatest thing, that big investment may not always pay dividends in the back end. Now, if I spent $10,000 on one of those as a male, got it ready and bred it, and I only got $500 a baby a few years later, do I still make money? Yeah, I absolutely do, because you're going to put it to about 3 females, you're going to get about 18 eggs, about 9 of them are going to be scaleless head, plus the other combos are going to push that up. You're going to still make money, okay? I'm not telling you getting a high-end morph early is a bad idea, but let me put this to you when you're first starting out. If you're first starting out and you're first starting your business and you start with something like just a pastel, okay, and a few other things, you're going to make combos, one, that you can identify very, very easily, okay? You'll be able to see it. 2, if something goes south, because let's be honest, things go south. My whole first clutch went south. I know it's happened to a lot of other people. I have a friend right now whose their first clutch is probably south. My good buddy who you guys have seen on here a lot, Jeff from Redneck Reptiles, his first clutch was a total shit show too. So it happens, early on. Other people don't have that problem, but some of us are a little more stubborn learners, I guess. If that were to happen and you miss that year, now you may not make an investment, or you're outlaid so much capital, it can be very difficult. Starting with something very simple to get your feet wet, to me, makes a lot of sense, especially if this is a side hobby business. Kind of learn the ropes a little bit, right, before you are throwing down thousands and thousands of dollars on a single snake. To give you an idea, we have spent in the 4 digits for a snake, never in the 5 digits for a single snake, never anywhere close to the 5 digits. I would say we've never even gotten halfway to the 5 digits for the single snake. We haven't done it. And our business has grown just fine. You don't have to do that. Not to mention, if you're brand new to the game and you're trying to sell a super high-end morph that's brand new, do you think people are going to trust you? You may be the best guy in the world, man or gal. We're not sexist here. You may be the best bag of bones and blood that looks like a human in the world, but nobody's going to know who you are, and they're going to buy from somebody else who they do on something that high-end that's been there for a while, that they know if there's a problem they can go to. That's just the way it is. I mean, and if you think I'm being an ass on that, I want you to ask yourself, who would you buy that from? Would you buy that from some guy you just met at a show that you're going to outlay 10 grand to, that you've never heard of before, and you don't know if his business is going to be there tomorrow, and you're not sure if what he's telling you is the truth? Or are you going to buy from somebody like, JKR, who's been around a long time, who's very trustworthy, has a great reputation? Who are you going to buy from, right? So it's very hard to sell those high-end ones very, very early. So I do think for starting out, going with something simple, you don't have to go pastel. There's tons of choices, guys, is a really good option. And then you can work in your higher end stuff as you go. Let me put this little girl back. Thank you, sweetie. You work good. There you go. Then let's get into, now that we've covered that, recessive versus incomplete dominant. Now, we're going to use the actual term incomplete dominant, not codom. Codom is a bad term. It's not a real thing. We'll use incomplete dominant. Oh yeah, you'll work. So this is an incomplete dominant gene. Now, this is not that old of a gene. It's been around a little while. I mean, it's not as old as pastel, nowhere as new as scaleless. This is what's called a GHI, stood for gotta have it. And these things have held value pretty well. And we'll kind of explain why that is here in a few minutes. But I'm going to show you another snake, okay, that I think you can't go wrong with. Oh, you're in shed, I think. Yep. We'll leave you alone. That's all right. I have a backup plan. Woo. Testy, testy. Actually, you know what? I'm going to grab the other one. Just because I like you better. And you'll lead into my next segue. This is the recessive gene. Now, this is a pied. It's been around forever and a day. So the difference is this. Because this is always harder to make than this, because you have to have this gene on both parents' side, the mother and the father. So you usually need two of them, or you need one that's a het, to one that's visual, or two hets. This is a harder snake to make, more time consuming to get to that than it is this a lot of times, which is just a single gene codominant. So I can do a GHI to a normal, bam, I'm going to get 4 out of 8 GHIs. I do a pied to a normal, get a bunch of normals that are het pied. So you have to have a little more work to get here. God, I just love this pied. Look at that. To me, that's the perfect thing I'm looking for. And there's even one that you're not seeing on her tail here. Look at that, another full ring. That's, to me, the perfect pied. Full rings is what I like. If she had a one more right about here, maybe one there, I'd never part with her. I'm not parting with her anyway. So the point I guess I'm making is, when you're choosing your snakes for value, recessive almost always is going to hold value better than incomplete dominant. It just takes more work. So the recessive combos take more work. They're going to hold value better. Now, if you want to make really crazy cool combos right away, this is a longer road than this. This will probably get you to making profit quicker than this will, but this will get you to a more stable profit. The other thing is I've heard people say, oh, there's too many pieds out there, I can't sell pied. I can sell pied all day. I can sell these GHIs all day, and the going rate for me is, now this, of course, is not a baby. This would be, but if this was a baby, we'd probably be at, God, I hate to say 350 on that one. I might actually go 375 on that one, just because the pattern is so nice. A lower white one, we may be down, if it just had a little bit of white here and didn't have a full ring, we may be down around 325, but typically about 350 is what I get for a baby pied. These, I usually get about, I want to say about 200 for last time I checked. Now, if you're watching this, remember the market changes, and I haven't priced these in the last few weeks or months, so I haven't needed to, but that's kind of where it is. Now, when this came out, when I first got in the game, these were really expensive. These were $400, okay? So this has held value really well for the last 4 years. This has dropped like a proverbial stone. I mean, they were, a 4-digit snake not that long ago. So it's just, that's the difference, because these get mass produced a lot quicker than recessive. So let me put this up, and I want to talk about my next topic. Here you go, little guy. Next thing I want to cover is this. When you're looking at what you're going to do for selling a snake, if you're going from a business standpoint, and again, there's got to be some business and there's got to be some want to. The want to, I'm making combos that I want to make because I want them. But from the business standpoint, I've also got to make things that pay the bills and keep the lights on. Pieds pay bills and keep lights on. So do bells, the all-white solid snakes. This is what I was going to originally pull out, although it wasn't recessive. We were just going to show a super form. Kind of same basic theory. However, it was in shed, so the other two are breeding. But with these, you've got to think, when you're going to put snakes up for sale, what's going to hold value, what's going to do well, what's not, is just how visually striking is it. When you see a pied, I don't care how long you've been at this, and you see a nice pied, it still is kind of breathtaking. I mean, this one's really exceptional with all the orange and the white. This is gorgeous, gorgeous snake for a single gene pied. That's going to sell. It's a lot easier to sell a morph that is this visually appealing than it is a morph that, doesn't look a whole lot different from a normal. I'll give you a great example. Yellow belly. Yellow belly is an awesome gene. It does a lot of cool stuff in combos. You got to have yellow belly if you're a breeder. Single gene yellow belly sells like crap. It just doesn't, you're not going to get maybe what you get for a pastel out of it if you have somebody that knows what they're looking for. It's just hard because it doesn't look visually striking. Somebody's going to come along and they're going to buy this just because it appeals to them, whether they're a breeder or not. Not so with a single gene yellow belly. So the more visually striking that snake is, god damn, I love this thing, the easier it's going to be to sell that animal and to make that business, and also the better chance it's going to hold its value. That's just kind of the way it works. It's the supply and demand. Things that are pretty, right, are in demand. Think about all the normals out there. They're not in that much of a demand, right? Well, I guess they still are, because for some damn reason we're still importing the crap out of them, and I'm not sure why when we got a ton of them made here, but that's something for another day. Anyway, but it's just, I don't know. That's how I see it. I see you want to go for pretty if you want to sell. You want the oohs and the ahs, pieds, bells, albinos, things of that nature. So I'm a big fan of Recessive because it's pretty and it holds value. You know, I love Axanthic. And you guys notice I didn't pull out a single Axanthic. Here's why. Let me show you something. I got to put you back, girl. This is where it gets to being about personal taste. There you go, baby. If we pull out an Axanthic, okay, I should have one right here. I do. I do have one right here. Oh, you're going to be angry today. Now, as a baby, they're a lot brighter than this. And this is actually a very, very nice one. The camera is going to say, oh, it looks like a normal, I'm sure. Probably some of that is due to lighting. If we put a nice pure white light on it, maybe we can get some of those tones to show in the back there. I don't know how well that's working. The black and the iridescence. But Kurt's probably say, why are you fucking with my light? Am I right? But as much as I love this snake, do you think I'm going to sell a single gene Axanthic as quickly, even though it's recessive, as I'd sell a single gene pied, or for as much money? The answer is no, because the person buying this from me knows they're buying it because I like Axanthic. They know I'm picking my Axanthic with a purpose, and when I'm holding back and then when I'm breeding to release is going to probably be really good quality. So they know what they're getting long term for their projects. But it doesn't look nearly as appealing as, you know, something like this. This calls into point the pretty. Now these snakes are basically just as hard to make. This is recessive, so it's got a gene from both parents. This is not a recessive, this is a banana black pastel, so it's got a gene from both parents. It's just the same difficulty. I gotta get a gene from both sides, I gotta get a gene from both sides. Okay, this, as a baby, probably male 175 to 200 bucks. This is a baby, 400 all day long. Pretty makes a difference. This is what I want in my life, okay? I breed these. Now when I make the combos, I'll do really good. But the single genes will do okay on. I mean, I'm not getting hurt at that. I'm not complaining. But it's a simple business aspect, right? Pretty is going to sell. Kurt, anything you want to add?
No.
You got any questions?
No.
No? What? Look at this thing go back in there. Get back in there. All right, one other little thing I want to show you, and then we'll get off of here. I'm going to use this snake to do it. Sometimes you'll get an oddity. This one's an oddity. There you can kind of see on its head, and then on its tail here. Can you move that out for me? Can you let the people see? I just work, there you go. So what we have here is a slight paradoxing, you know, and so that snake too, some people are going to put that snake up on a table, especially with a lot more paradoxing, and this would normally be, you know, like I say, I think we got $400 last time I was selling these banana black pastels, and they would ask maybe more for it because of the paradox. And you can do that. It's a funny looking snake. Maybe you're going to get it. Maybe you won't. It's not genetic, so you need to know what you're selling somebody. Don't tell them something that's not true. But in this case, you know, I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to sell this snake. I've been on the fence about it. I think I'm going to keep her, or him. I think I'm going to keep you, because I like the paradoxes. But would I charge more for it than my other banana black pastel? Yeah, I probably would. I'd probably mark this one up an extra 50 bucks or 25 bucks just because it's an oddity. Doesn't mean I'd get it, but it does mean I would try. You can always negotiate down, right? You can never write a price on your table and somebody go, man, that's a really pretty snake. I see you wrote 400, how about I give you 500 for it? That shit don't happen. But if I ask 500 because it's an oddity and they say, well, I'll give you 400, that's what the other one is, I'm like, man, this thing's cool, it's settled on 450. Boom, we're going home, right? So you can always do that. Kurt, anything else you want to add?
No.
All right, guys, so hopefully that tells you kind of how you pick your snakes based on, one, recessive, holding the value more, right? It's more stable market for genes that have been out a long time. Once they kind of bottom out, you know, like pieds bottom out, things like that. The newer snakes, a much more volatile market. So there's more risk there, possibly more reward. Less risk, but probably less reward on the older ones. just for giggles. And then, you know, looking for that visual appeal to help that sale and help hold that value. All right, guys, so we got. We're going to go over to Patreon now, and we're going to talk about what I think the secret is for breeding things that sell. I'm going to cover that on Patreon, so if you're not a Patreon member, you probably should be, and we'll see you next time.